Sometimes the most powerful tools we have are also the simplest ones. We kind of think that to sound smart, we need to use all these big, complicated words, but what if the opposite is true? What if the real power is in using simple words, just, brilliantly? Let's take a look at that idea.
I know what you're thinking. It sounds totally impossible, right? How could a vocabulary that's smaller than what most toddlers have be enough to talk about complex ideas? Well, believe it or not, this was the central idea behind a project called Basic English. Yup, that's the magic number. Basic English is a simplified version of the language, and it's built on a core list of just 850 words. Now, the goal wasn't to be simplistic or to dumb things down, not at all. It was all about being clear and efficient, using a small set of super flexible words to do all the heavy lifting. To really see how this works in practice, we're going to put just one of these 850 words under the microscope. It's a word you use all the time, probably without giving it a second thought. The word wide. So let's do it. Welcome to our deep dive into wide. We're about to see just how much work this one little word can actually do. It's a fantastic example of the whole basic English philosophy in action. You see, the secret to these simple words is that they're total multitaskers. They're like a Swiss Army knife for language. Why doesn't just have one meaning? It has a bunch of different jobs it can do depending on how you use it. So let's check out its first and probably most common role. All right, first up, wide works as an adjective. Its main job here is to describe things, to tell us more about the stuff in our world, from rivers to ideas. This is the definition we all learn first, right? It's all about physical measurement. The distance from one side of something to the other. Just think of a wide road, a wide doorway, or a widescreen TV. It's concrete, it's super easy to get. And this is the perfect illustration of that core meaning. You can immediately picture it, can't you? A river that takes a good, long while to get across. That's wide in its most classic physical sense. Okay, but here's where it starts to get really interesting. The word begins to stretch. We're not talking about physical distance anymore. Now we're talking about scope and variety. A wide range means there's a huge inclusive selection. The word just jumped from the physical world to the world of ideas. And here we see another layer, a wide berth. It's a great little idiom that still describes a lot of space, but we use it to talk about the action of avoiding something. We're using a simple word to describe a pretty nuanced social situation. So let's move on to its next job. Wide doesn't just describe things, it can also modify actions. And when it does this, it's working as an adverb. This slide lays it out perfectly. On the left, wide describes the noun, the door itself. But on the right, wide is describing the action, how the door was pushed. It tells us the extent of the opening. It's a subtle shift, but it's absolutely crucial. And you see this adverb all over the place. When her eyes are wide open, it's describing how she opened them. To be wide awake is to be completely, totally awake. And to open your arms wide, that describes the manner of the hug. In every single case, the word is changing an action. Okay, so wide can be an adjective and an adverb. But it's got one more job up its sleeve, a more specialized one that you hear all the time in the world of sports. It can also act as a preposition. In this job, wide is all about direction and relationship. Specifically, it describes a failure, failing to hit a target by going off to one side of it. It's all about the path something takes in relation to its goal. This is the classic example. You can almost hear the crowd groan, right? The ball didn't go in, it passed to the side of the goal. Wide here isn't describing the ball itself, it's describing its trajectory, where it went relative to the goalposts. And just to add another layer, in sports talk, when a player is running wide, it means they're moving towards the sidelines, the outer edges of the field. So even within this one specific job, the word still has flexibility. Okay, let's bring this all together. We've seen wide wear 3 different hats, right? It's performed 3 distinct grammatical jobs. So what does this all really mean? This slide just sums it up beautifully. We have one word. As an adjective, it describes things. As an adverb, it modifies actions. And as a preposition, it shows direction. It's an entire toolkit packed into just 4 letters. And that's really the big takeaway. This single common word isn't limited to just one function. It's a versatile powerhouse that can describe a noun, change a verb, and explain a spatial relationship. It's amazing. And this brings us right back to where we started. The genius of a system like Basic English isn't about limiting our language. It's about unlocking the full potential of its core parts. It proves that with a small set of powerful, flexible words like wide, you can communicate with incredible clarity. So, the next time you hear a simple word, don't just skim past it. Take a second look. Think about all the different jobs it might be doing. Because as we've just seen, sometimes the most common words are actually the most powerful. What everyday word are you going to notice next?